Okay, Matt Yurus here again for Channel 12 News. I'm still on this scene here in Chandler, Arizona, where we've had a suspect that's allegedly shot 3 separate officers. All 3, thankfully, are expected to be okay. We'll have more on exactly what happened there, but now I want to turn to the latest details that are developing. We've been pushed back again now, and there is smoke that is billowing up now from above the home, or right near the home where the suspect was believed to have barricaded himself in. We are now also just getting word, and this is breaking news. This has been shared by police that the suspect, I've heard it 2 different ways, so I'm going to say it both ways. Both have come from police. One came from an officer on scene. He told me the suspect could not be located at this time. Over the Chandler Police's official Twitter account, they have shared that the suspect has fled. Obviously, that's a major change in this development. This suspect has been barricaded in that home since at least 7:15 this morning. If you look behind me, they are beginning to set up what seems to be a more permanent structure as this scene continues to unfold. This all began about 1:15 in the morning. And I'm gonna have to pause right here for a moment. I'm on a breaking news scene, obviously. I'm working with 3 different phones at this point. I need to reach for my other phone and check out the information that's just been sent to me. Give me one moment here. Got the other phone charging in my vehicle. Give me 1 second, hang tight there. Texting superior bosses. Okay, again, we're here in Chandler. If you're familiar with the area, we're right off Arizona Ave and Erie, not far from downtown, not far from police headquarters. It's where a man was allegedly shot 3 officers. This scene began to unfold early this morning, around 1:15 or so in the morning. Officers say one of their own were traveling through this neighborhood where I'm standing now in an unmarked police vehicle. At that time, he saw someone they described as suspicious, got out of his vehicle, approached this suspect. The suspect took off on foot, turned, and fired multiple shots. One of those shots hitting the officer in the lower extremity. The wound was described as a through and through. He was taken to the hospital, released later in the morning, and is said to be at home recovering with his family. And when I use the word he or his or she, as I talk about these different officers, these are in a generic sense. There's only one officer do we know additional details about, other than the fact that he or she was shot. Fast forward to about 7:15 or so this morning, and me and the photographer I'm working with are about 30 yards from a home. A few officers, maybe a half dozen, had congregated there. We're discussing among themselves. We were recording a report, collecting some additional video. Officers had already told us the search had toned down. It was a very relaxed atmosphere in that moment. I'll say 30 or so yards from us, 3 shots or 4 rang out in a rapid succession of each other. We began rolling on that scene immediately, delivered a report, and I'll say within 60 seconds of that, police were yelling almost immediately, ready to get back, get in your homes if you were a member of the public. And very quickly after that, police stormed the area, sirens going, cops speeding down what is now about 3 blocks from us. As this day has progressed, they have pushed us further and further back for our safety. At first, you see that yellow tape that's immediately in front of me, and then there's one beyond that. So we were initially, me and the photographer I'm working with, about 30 yards from the home, pushed back another 30 yards, and into that second tape you see on your screen there, and now the first tape that's immediately in front of me. And since then, we've been backed up behind. There's no more tape, I guess, but behind what they're calling a concrete wall. They want us staying behind that. Everything was quiet from about 7:15 to noon, slightly before noon. when we started to see smoke come from the home. Police told me that smoke was the result of something the suspect had done inside the home. Would say nothing more than that. About 15 minutes after that, another officer told me that the suspect could not be located. And then on Chandler Police's Twitter account, they released information that the suspect had fled on foot. So right now, the bottom line is 3 officers have been shot. 2 were hit in body armor. Those 2 expected to be okay. A third hit in a lower extremity. He too expected to be okay. The wound was a through and through. Now we are at about 11:50, if you will. House goes up in smoke, or near the house goes up in smoke. It's said to be done by the suspect, who is thought to have been barricaded in. We've now learned that it appears the suspect has fled on foot. One officer describing it as he could not be located, and then the police Twitter account saying that he had fled on foot. If you have any questions, please throw them at the bottom there for me. I'll continue to answer them as I can. Again, this started around 1:15 this morning. When we got here around a little after 4 a.m., 4:30 in the morning, preparing for our live reports, we were about farther than that. I'll say a mile from where I'm standing now. Around 5:30 in the morning, after one of our reports, police said they were going to kind of tone down the search. Initially, they had Chandler police out here, Mesa police, Chopper was above, and they said, you guys can go ahead and move closer. We proceeded to shoot a few more live reports, basically on top of the scene. Around 7 a.m., our morning live show is over. Police had more or less given us room to roam this neighborhood and work the story. We'd heard from an officer that bullet holes hit a home, or at least one bullet. We walked by several homes in the direction that he pointed us to see if there was any evidence of that. We then saw officers huddled north of here by about 3 or 4 blocks and began to wonder what was going on there. Saw a forensic vehicle, got closer within about 30 or so yards. It was at that time that 3 or 4 shots rang out in rapid succession. We were later told that 2 officers, both were hit in body armor, but were shot and were expected to be okay. One of those officers we saw pass in front of us, he also had a laceration at near the crown of his head. The blood was running down the back of his head up to about the base or so of his neck. It wasn't profusely bleeding, but it was readily visible, certainly could see it. Again, that officer is said to be okay. Things were quiet for about 3 hours. Let me take that back. Things were quiet for about an hour and a half. Officers pushed us back another 50 or so yards. And a better way to look at this, as I do a quick aside, is we started basically on the home 3 blocks from here, and every hour or so we've gotten pushed back another block. And it's usually signaled an increase of intensity in this situation. So now we're about 3 full blocks back. Police got us to essentially this point, and moments later, what appeared to be or sounded like flashbangs went off. Another 45 minutes or an hour or so passed. It was relatively quiet. And then fire began to build from above the home or near the home where the suspect is barricaded. An officer told me off camera that the suspect had done this. Shortly thereafter, there began to be rumors on the ground that the suspect had fled. An officer told me the suspect could not be located. Those were his exact words. And then separately on Chandler's police Twitter account, they released information that he had fled on foot. I see Catherine here asking, how could that have happened when the house was surrounded? The situation is obviously chaotic to a certain extent, and police are obviously doing the best they can. So I'm going to describe what I saw around that home when I was basically on the scene, directly on top of it, close enough where I could smell the gunpowder. And then when I was pushed back a little further and I still had a good understanding of what was going on with